Hey everyone, welcome to another photo editing tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how using Pixlr, the free online editor, will create one of these really great awesome double exposure effects. So you'll see a lot of them are nature themed. There's a lot of really cool ones here that are kind of splitting the subject, the figure, with usually a city image or some trees, something that's vertical. So we're going to go ahead and get going here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Pixlr, and I'm going to choose Pixlr E. I'm then going to go ahead and choose Open Image, and I'm going to go find the image of my subject. And if you have a high resolution image, it again gives you some choices here. I'm going to try Full HD. If that doesn't work, you can of course try the smaller one and see how your device handles it, but I'm going to go ahead and try Full HD. And it looks like it's working all right. Okay, now I want to go ahead over here to the layers, and I want to click on Add, and I'm going to choose Empty. And I'm going to go ahead and choose a color. I'm going to go ahead and just start with white for now. This is going to end up being my background. And once I have the color white, then I'm going to come over here and find the Fill tool and go ahead and click, and there we are. I'm going to go ahead and right mouse click on this layer, or you can click on these three little dots, bring up the menu, and I'll just go ahead and rename this BG for background. I'm then going to drag it below the layer, and you can see that it's not allowing me to do that, and that's because this background layer is locked. So I need to go to the menu, unlock it, and now I can go ahead and I can actually drag the white background behind that one. Okay, I'm now going to select the original background layer. I'm going to rename it, and we'll call it Woman. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get rid of her background. So I'm going to click on the cutout tool, and I always like to start off with the AI Auto. It is a premium feature, but you usually just have to watch a 10-second ad or so, and then it'll work. Also, if there's an error the first time, try it a second time, and usually it does get it right. So here's the ad. When the ad's done, click on Continue. And hey, it did a pretty darn good job. You might notice, depending on your subject and your photograph, you might notice that there's a little bit of extra there. You can see that there's a little bit extra here. In that case, I recommend coming up here and clicking on the Draw Mask tool, coming in here and just clicking and dragging. Now if you see green, it means you are going to be adding to the mask, and so I'm adding more. Just come up here where it says Mode and click on the Remove option instead of the Add option, and then get in there and do this. Now if you do have a tablet, I highly recommend that. If not, you can use the mouse or the trackpad, and you can still do a pretty good job. If you need to change the brush size, just come on up here, so that way you can get in there for tighter areas. Again, small stuff like this, you probably won't notice it. Okay, with the layer of our subject still selected, I'm going to come up here to Filter. This is optional, you don't need to do this, but it adds to the effect. And I'm going to choose Effects Library, and you'll see that there's a whole bunch of different categories here. If you click on a category like Portrait, you can then go ahead and choose something related to that. I'm going to go ahead and try this category here, Too Old, and we'll go ahead and we'll select this one here called Tom. And the nice thing is you can see the preview of it, and you can change the transparency of the effect. So actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try Logan here. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Okay, and we'll leave it at 100% and hit Apply. Okay. We're now going to go ahead and add in our object that we're going to overlay here for the double exposure. I have two. I have a mountain and I have a city. I'm going to try the city first and see how that goes. So I'm going to come over here, click on Add, and I'm going to choose an image layer. I'm going to go navigate. Your images are either going to be on your desktop or your downloads folder, most likely. I'm going to go ahead and add in this one here called City Street. You're going to want to zoom out, most likely. Make sure you have the Arrange tool, and you're going to click and drag and resize it. Now we are going to have a whole bunch of layers here, so with the Arrange tool still selected, come on up here to the little gearbox here, and you've got some options here. I like turning off Auto Select Layer. And that means that out here in the composition, you can click around and you're only going to affect whatever layer you have selected over here in the layers list. It just kind of guarantees that I'm not going to accidentally click on a layer and do something to it. Okay, so now I want the city to blend in with the subject here, so I'm going to apply the same filter. So I'm going to go Filter, Effects Library. In this case, I went with Too Old. And I chose the one called Logan. And I'll click on Apply, just so the two are similar. Okay, so now I want to position my city. So I'm going to come over here, right mouse click, and I'm going to lower the transparency so that way I can see what's going on. So now what I need to do is I need to really position where the city is going to be, or where the city street is going to be. And then, of course, I can scale it so that I can see more or less. Bring it down a bit, scale it up. Okay, something like that. So it covers her whole head, and I get that nice division going right up the middle of her head, something like that. Okay, I'm going to come back here to the city street, and now that I have it in place, I'm going to bring it back to full transparency. Now I'm going to select the woman's layer here, and I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm then going to drag it to the top of the stack so you can now see it above. Be very careful to not move any of your layers now, especially the two layers of the women. Now with the copy of the woman selected, I'm going to right mouse click, go to the menu, click on blend mode, and I'm going to choose the very last option, mask. And you'll see that what it does is it looks pretty cool and awesome. It's basically making a mask showing visibility based on the layers below. And so that's why we're getting this cutout effect. Now, if you do want to, if you're looking at it now and you really want to change things around a little bit, I could click on the city street layer, and I can click and I can move that around, and I can really try to figure out where I want it to go. So if I wanted to, I could, this light right here where her eye is, that could be kind of cool, but then I miss out on that division there. So maybe I'll do something like that. I want to get some of the city street in there. Okay, good. All right, now I want to take this top layer of the woman, the copy, and I'm going to merge it down with the photograph below. And that means that they're going to be joined together, so I can no longer move the city street. So you're going to want to make sure that you're really happy with that. So I'm going to right mouse click, bring up the menu, and I'm going to choose this first button right here that says merge down. And you can see that they are in fact joined. What might be a good idea for you to do is to copy this, to save this project before you move on. So I'm going to go ahead and do File Save. I'm going to save this as a PXD, so that way all of my layers are intact. And I'm going to go ahead and call this Double Exposure and hit Download. It'll take about 7 seconds or so, show you an ad, and there you go. Alright, so now I'm going to select the layer of the woman, right mouse click, merge down, and now it's joined with the city. Okay, now I'm going to select the original layer of the woman. I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to make a duplicate, and I'm going to drag that above the copy, and then I'm going to right mouse click to get the menu up again, and I'm going to change the blend mode now to lighten. and you'll see that what it's doing is it's using the layers below, and we're able to now start seeing some of the cityscape in her face there. Now you can go ahead and try, messing around with some of the other modes. They do add in some interesting effects. Overlay is also a very cool one here. There's no right or wrong. Screen is also very dreamlike. Multiplies a little on the dark side, but lighten is a good popular one. And then you can go ahead and play with the transparency, so you can kind of bring that back a little bit and play around with it. So play around with the blend mode that you like. I'm going to stick with lighten for now. Okay, I'm just going to take a moment and rename my layers so that way it makes more sense to all of you. So I'm going to take this middle layer here, which is the woman and the city combined. I'm going to go ahead and rename it, and let's call it woman city, so that way it's easy there. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to select the woman city layer, and I'm going to go up here to the cutout tool, and I'm going to click on the draw mask tool. And I'm going to go ahead and brush around so that way I can bring the image of the woman, the original image, back in some more. Okay, so I've got the layer of the woman in the city selected. You want to come up here and remember, check the mode. You really can't be too wrong. There's only two options. I'm going to change the brush size. I'm going to leave it as a soft edge brush, and I'm going to go ahead and bump it up here. And there we go. So if I go ahead and I want to bring back in her face and make that a little more opaque. So if I brush this in over here over the cheek, you'll see that her face is coming in. If you make a mistake, just change the mode. And again, you can see that I'm brushing in now red, and you can see there we are there. We're bringing in more of her face now. So I want to bring back some of that lamp. And you can play around with the opacity of the brush so you can get these really nice blends. One thing I like to do is I like to go with a little bit of a larger brush size and then go with a low opacity. So that way I get this really nice, very gradual effect. Okay. So at this point, I want to match the color background to the model a little bit better to create a really nice effect. So I'm going to select my background layer, BG. I'm going to come over here and click on the color picker here, and I'm going to go ahead and sample this very light color right here. And so now that I've got that colored or selected, I'm going to click on the fill tool, and I'm going to click on the background layer, and you can see now it matches it much nicer. I'm going to go ahead now and add in one more element. I'm going to add in some clouds. So I'm going to go add layer, image layer, and I found some clouds right here with a black background, and the black background is pretty important. Again, you can just search for clouds black background. With them selected, I'm going to right mouse click and bring up their menu, and I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply, and you can see I get a really interesting effect here where it's like a cookie cutter effect. So that could be cool, but that's not really what I want. What I really want is multiply works well if you have a white background, and it gets rid of the light colors, which is why the clouds disappear. What I want is I want screen, and when you do screen, it does the exact opposite. I get the white clouds, but I don't get the black background, so that works out quite nicely. Okay, so now I can go ahead and I can place these, of course, wherever I want. Maybe something like that. Good, and it just adds in a little bit. Now, if I want these to be a little bit more opaque, I can go back to the menu of the clouds here, and I can go ahead and choose duplicate, and you can see that now they're getting a duplicated effect. So again, you can decide. I think I'm going to actually delete it. I think I like it just like that. Okay, the last element I'm going to bring in here is going to be a group of birds. So I'm going to click on the little plus button here, add an image layer, and I'll go find this image here of birds. I'm going to right mouse click on the layer, and I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply, and you'll see that the white then goes away. I want the birds to be flipped so they're actually following the direction that she's looking. So with the range tool still selected, you can come right up here and you can choose flip horizontal, you can flip them vertically. I want them to be going like that, and I can reposition them a little bit. Maybe I'll have them coming out from her eye. Let's see, I'm going to then click on the cutout tool, and I can go ahead and take the brush tool, and I can brush around any part of the frame just to clean it up. And there we go. And maybe I'll go ahead and I'll change the transparency of the birds just to make them a little more dreamlike. And then maybe I'll go ahead and blur the birds just a little bit. So I'll go up here to Filter, Details, and you have Blur and Gaussian Blur. They're both great. You can try them both. And I'll go ahead and just add in a little bit of a blur. Again, just a very subtle effect. Okay, and the final thing that I'm going to do for this today is there's a top little line right here where the air should be going, and that's you know, part of the big effect. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I need to figure out which one of these layers it's on. So you only have so many layers, so it can't be too many of them. So I'm going to start with the top woman layer. I'm going to go to the cutout tool, the draw mask, and again, if you have a stylus, go ahead and use it. Change my brush size a little bit to match. There we go. And if you'll see, I'm brushing over that line there to try to get rid of it. And it's not getting rid of it, so I'm going to go ahead and move down to the next layer. And you can see there, it's bringing it back in. So I'll switch modes. Nope, still not doing it. So let's try the very bottom layer here. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in now that I've found my layer here, and I'm just going to brush in and I'll just do a little bit of cleanup as well. And I want to clean up these little bits here, so again, find the layer that it's on. Yep. Now you'll see that as I'm doing this, I'm revealing other ones. This would be a good point where it would make my life easier if I did merge these together. I like having my layers, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep them. You might find it a little frustrating, but I think being able to keep the layers is totally worth it. If you disagree, that's fine. Okay, as a final step, this is optional. I'm going to select the background layer, and you can come up here to Filter, and I'm going to choose Vignette, and I can go ahead and add a vignette, which just gives that nice classic look on the corners there, and I'll click Apply. Okay, at this point, I would go ahead and actually, now that I'm noticing it, that vignette effect unfortunately undid the effect that I was going for at the top. So I'm gonna not go with the vignette effect. It's nice, but it's not working for me. All right, at this point, I would go ahead and I would do File, Save, and I would download another copy of it as a PXD. And I'll go ahead and put the word final in there just to make life easier. Okay, I hope this helps you out, and have a great time making these double exposure effects. They're a lot of fun. See you next time.